How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today I'm going to go and send this one for a review. The Tatra, what's it, Force something 815, whatever. Tatra Force, that's what it'll be known as henceforth. Yeah, send it around the course, see how it does, see how it stacks up, particularly against the Phoenix that I've just tested. So engine's got the KZ-GT, which is a nice start. It's S plus on the power, S plus on the fuel as well, but to be honest, it seems like it has enough fuel. It's not really been an issue. I'm going for the advanced special, but there's the multi-purpose and fine-tune if that tickles your fancy. There is no raised suspension, and to be fair, there's not a major amount of clearance, but if you imagine if it had 4-inch smaller tyres like the Phoenix, it would look like there is more room. So it's kind of, I still think it out of the two, it could do with a liftable. It wouldn't, yeah, I wouldn't say no. Tyre-wise, it's got the usual, like I said, the 50-inch tyres, you've got the muds, you've got the chained. I will be using, by the way, like the normal muds and the custom muds. I tend to use the same stuff throughout videos to kind of standardise them. People were saying about in the Phoenix they prefer the custom tyres. I agree. To be fair, I should have banged a bit of footage like in at the quarry, but I do use the custom tyres on this though. Diff lock, sorry, is engageable diff locks. I've got the winch is like the advanced special I've got. The frame add-ons, you've got all this sort of stuff. You've got a roof rack, which is pretty cool. It's got some decent supplies with it. That fuel thing sits a bit heavy. This repair or whatever ramp towing platform's pretty useless, I think. It's not got any repair points or anything. I lifted a truck with it. It couldn't really do a lot. It lifted the truck, but it fell off as soon as I drove forward. And it's got a sideboard. As for these, I've not added a sun visor thing because they're just going to block my view if I'm ever in the cab. I've got a choice between like a roll cage or fog lights. I don't know why I have to choose, but it's a bit crap. I'd quite like to have both. Yeah, as for the rear fenders, I can only remove the ones over the second axle, so the actual rear ones I can't really do a lot. The front bumper, from an objective standpoint, I would say the stock is the best, because if you look from the side, they all stick out more than the stock one. Looks-wise, I'll sort of spin the camera around to the front, I believe, in a sec. I mean, it doesn't look terrible with the stock, but yeah, you know, that one, I don't dislike any of them. It's just, yeah, for the sakes of the review, I'll just go for the one that is technically looks like it gives the best clearance. That was just like, what, an air conditioner and fog horns. I'd go for that exhaust, because if anything, it's going to squirt the smoke out, like, to the side. That other one that jets it up in the middle, it's not really a smoky beast, so it's not really an issue, but it's going to spray it into your third-person camera, if anything, so you may as well choose the one that chucks it out on the side. And then colour-wise, it looks pretty cool in black. It kind of suits it, because it's quite sort of a rugged-looking thing. The grey, yeah, white looks pretty cool as well. It's colour-coded like the box and the fuel tank on the side. But yeah, as for the camos, the green's nice. That's nice. That I don't mind. It looks alright, suits it. Same with that. I wouldn't say any particularly pop. That is probably actually my favourite. That does pop a little bit. The only reason I didn't go for this colour for the video was because everyone will just know this is the green truck and the other one is kind of the red truck. So yeah, I'm leaving it green, but I actually do quite like that the red camo pattern going on. Looks-wise, looks closer to the sort of the Dolphin, the Azov 5319 than the Phoenix or something. Yeah, looks-wise, looks pretty cool. Got certainly no complaints. Inside, definitely a lot more old school, so I assume like the Phoenix kind of replaced this. The mirror's actually not a bad size. I don't really use them a lot, but I can actually see it. Not got a window out the back, but got a super wanks bed, so take what I can get. I can actually see my tyres a little bit, which is pretty nice. And when I look out the window, I can see that garage door. I can just read clear, but I can see enough, so that's fine. And I can see my tyres. As for the horn, yeah, I mean, it's not terrible. At least it's got some oomph to it, so it's a little bit squeaky, but it's better than like a squeaky one that also sounds depressed or something. Revving the engine, you can see the revs. Idles at I believe about 500, revs up to 2100 in the end, but then we'll sort of get into that a bit later because it's one of them where you don't really get given the full revs of this truck, and I'll be honest, I prefer the Phoenix to this, put it that way, and like I had every intention of liking this just as much. I wasn't biased against it, but you'll see as we go along. But yeah, overall, good start. Pulls off. This is the thing, look, like here on a flat tarmac yard, it looks fine, but yeah, trailer wise again, same issue. It's not got saddle high, so sorry, a saddle low, so I can have all the towable trailers, and then I just get the 3 saddle high trailers, which is like that big fat one, the 8 slot and that thing. All of them a bit useless, to be honest. Well, the 8 slot's been handy, but it's a pain in the arse in its own right. Yeah, I'd much rather the sideboard semi-trailer, the step deck, all that sort of stuff. Flying out here, it doesn't really go fast enough to be skidding out of there like the Phoenix was or anything. But yeah, as far as ploughing along, like once you're in 5th gear, to be fair, like, it's always kind of been a pretty strong characteristic of all the advanced special gearboxes and stuff. They're pretty good once you get up into 5th, they stay in 5th. And they should do, really, because as you can see, it's a bit on the slow side. And I just want to get my foot down a little bit. So the least it could do is stay in the highest gear available. See, like going through here, this is again where the off-road Dolphin got his name from. This thing just isn't going quick enough to, like, there, for example. It's not got enough momentum to smash its way through, so it can get caught up a little bit easier. But overall, off-road capability-wise, it walked through there, like, with no issues. I'm not saying it'd struggle, that is where a potential for higher speed can be handy. That is what the twin steer is amazing at, even when it used to have just front wheel drive or whatever it was, or just rear, I can't remember which way around. It just absolutely brute force smashed its way through places it had no business going, but by the time you've lost your momentum, you've already got 100 foot over the stuff you're not supposed to be driving over. And yeah, when you're restricted, this thing reminds me, funnily enough, a little bit like John. Like, it's just a slow version of the Dolphin, and yeah. Crashing here into the trees, tree test, hit one at all my speed. I honestly was quite surprised by that. I edited a bit out there. This is the thing, because this is so much slower, say, than the Phoenix, this video's longer, despite the fact that I've had to edit more, nip bits. Oh, that's why the video is going to end up being out pretty late. Well, I was messing around later. Not going to lie, slightly self-inflicted, but nonetheless, yeah, it's just everything's happening at a slower pace, so I did ram some more trees, didn't manage to kill any more, so go around that corner. To its credit, it stayed in high there, and it didn't just stop and kind of wheel spin, which is slightly above average. The Phoenix and this actually did, I'd say the Phoenix still did a little bit better than this again, but not by much. They both did above what, even some decent trucks just start to wheel spin in high there. So that was nice. I believe at the minute as well, I've got the normal muds on, which, like I said, I'll use the customs later. It's just, yeah, I quite like. What I want to know is, if all the tyres are the same, what's the truck bringing to the table? That's why I kind of, if I can, go for tyres I've used in past videos, etc. But again, I do agree that I would go for the customs if you're going to use this. And the Phoenix. Rock test. Possibly because it's a little bit slower, but that's not an issue. I don't even know if I took any damage going over these, to be honest. It certainly feels like it's got some pretty tough, solid suspension. I don't think you're gonna, I don't know, that's not really going to be your main worry, unless you get, you hit something awkward that just absolutely deletes you in one, like a concrete slab. Anti-terrorist barricade, to be honest, I sort of steered into it, expecting it to do more, and yeah, I thought it just bounced off and that was it. You can get lucky and unlucky with them. This was a bit of a silly test, but it is what it is. I enjoy it. Again, going through this river, everything's slow at the beginning, so I thought I'd edit that a little bit out. As we're ticking along though, I was trying it in high, low, medium, low, 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 auto, high gear. I was watching the revs a little bit. We're in about 1,000 revs at the minute, which, well, is like as sort of as good as you're going to get in some cases. Go into auto. Tried to stick it in high just to see, get your stupid hands out of the way. Started climbing a bit there, but I am also starting to wheel spin a bit, so that's not necessarily translates to like how fast I'm travelling and all that. Yeah, just a little bit slow through here, nothing. I certainly don't feel like it'd struggle, even if I had a trailer going through that. I just think it would be slow. There's, yeah, some vehicles are like that, some aren't. And that's about it. We'll jump to the next bit. Yeah, for the snow take, you see, look, I've already just put it in high, and you just see how much it loses its speed already. It's just like it's fighting against, I don't know, an unnatural level of rev limit or something. So you can get something like that where you just suddenly get like a massive chunk of damage. That's not strictly like limited to this vehicle, it tends to be the nature of this game, to be honest. Didn't make it over those rocks at all. Eventually I got my nose up, but it just slid like as I fired a winch out, but it had to keep that winch taut at all times. Climbing over this barrier, it was close. I managed to get that over the front two axles. I believe this is where something, I'm not sure if it's a transfer case in the middle, or I can't quite tell if there's like a hitbox on that fuel tank that's a little bit, not exactly the dimensions of the fuel tank, but I'm definitely caught on something. I was just doing that winch to see if, like, is it hooked, or is it something I can bump over? It appears I was hooked. the technical definition. Again, as well, though, I've noticed for this, it's like everything you do, you have to keep changing the time, because this thing can only do one thing before daylight vanishes. Which is partly on this game. I feel like you get about a minute of good daylight, and then it starts looking like it's dusk or something. Yeah, it got over in the end. For whatever reason, I didn't catch that transfer case thing the second time, and it got over. You see what I mean? You just imagine, like, you're driving in invisible water. Imagine there's water everywhere now. It's just you can't see it. It feels like something's fighting it all the time. Like it just does not want to go as fast as it should be going, from the noises it's making, from the engine it's got. Even though it is the advanced special, I still feel like I've drove other stuff with an advanced special gearbox that goes quicker. And I don't know, you always hear the engine making a lot of noise and all the rest of it, but it's like, hello. But again, like I said, with the clutch slipping, it's almost like you just bleeding power to a dodgy clutch. I know that might not even be a relevant thing in this game, but the feel of it, it's just like, where's all this horsepower going? You're barely crawling along at some points. Got up that rock though, grip-wise and all the rest of it, didn't try and slip off left or right. Jumped down there, didn't catch its nose. I don't dislike it for this as such, but the turning circle is pretty terrible. That's why I just edited there. It's like a 3-point turn. Go to jump over here. Got the front nose over, but then it absolutely deleted it on the second axle. Thankfully, like, the square behind me is a repair square. Whatever. So I attempt number 2 in a different gear and all the rest of it. Yep. Deleted me again. Suspension, fuel and tyres. So I went and fixed it again. In fact, no, I had to recover because I got hooked on the wall that time. So I had to drive all the way back here, which takes a while because it's slow. Tried to crawl slowly so I don't shatter the second axle and completely delete the entire truck. But without the momentum, I couldn't do it in the end. Again, another edit, but I was there for like a good minute or two. So I stuck a winch from the back of it to that tree, kind of got me levered over. Disconnected the winch and now got stuck again. I was like, really? But then I sort of let off and re-floored it. And yeah, we got over there. So certainly not as smooth as the Phoenix. To the Phoenix's credit, that was one of the best jumps. Like first time, no issues. Flew straight over there. Going through the trees, a little bit iffy at the start, but it can be awkward getting the right line through there when you're in the interior view and all that, so I can't knock it for that. Made it through first time. I'm going to leave this little bit of footage in where I climb up this hill, because a little bit later on I normally go up in the mountains anyway, but bit of a just, yeah, I was like, in the end, fuck it. I already know I've got footage of me driving up a mountain. So in this situation, like, climbing-wise, and I'd say torque doesn't necessarily feel like it's really an issue. And it was quite handy here to test the whole peak situation, because the gap between the second and third axle is longer than the Phoenix, but I think most of the weight of this truck is in the front. I'll be able to probably show you a bit better examples later, but basically by the time I was going to beach in the middle, just the weight of its own cab levered me over. So yeah, it's sort of, there's potential where it can get beached, but at the same time, yeah, it won't seesaw in the middle because the weight isn't balanced enough for it to do that. Definitely couldn't make it out of this yard. I would like to use a sideboard semi-trailer. I don't really know if it makes any major difference to the turning circle itself, to be fair, but nonetheless, I'd rather use one, but if they're not going to give me a saddle low, sorry, then yeah, there's not a lot I can do about it. So 3-point turn in the yard, there is a few that's had to do that. I remember the twin steer might have even been a 5-point turn. I think the Dolphin was a 3-point turn, so yeah, there is a few others, but most trucks can do it in one. And then you got stuff like the Derry. As much as that's horrifically crap at everything, it's insanely good turning around in the yard because it's got extremely good rear steer. Just be nice to add an extremely good engine so you could actually use it. One nice thing, just the overall balance of the speed and all the rest of it. It's very easy to be quite precise when you're just floating down a road in this kind of situation. The steering doesn't feel too delayed. It's not too slow to snap back. It's not too quick and a bit iffy and twitchy. It's just, yeah, driving it along like this is a piece of piss. You're not going to be crashing into everything every 5 seconds. Once you give yourself a couple of minutes just to get used to that it's not the fastest steering, or it's, you know, not got the tightest turning angle. And I do drive the Dolphin quite a lot, and I still think the Dolphin's got better steering than this. The steering on the Dolphin's slow as well, but I'd say it probably gets a full lock better than this. This thing sometimes feels like you're barely steering at all. Sadly, it got stuck here as well. I was surprised by that. I thought, because the Phoenix got through here, exact same trailer and cargo and everything. But what I think part of the issue is, it's got so much weight at the front of it that it wasn't planting the back down very good there, and I believe it also beached a little bit in the middle, like where the fuel tank and stuff is, might have been catching on the brow of the hill I'm now trying to pull the trailer over. But yeah, again, a couple of edits, but I really did try and get through that. I couldn't. I had to put a winch to that telegraph pole. I'm going around here, I'll probably, well, say I could have done with turning a bit earlier because of the turning circle's pretty wide on it. Just missed that tree, so I suppose, but you can see now, like, actually look at the tyre tracks I'm leaving. Now draw that as a full circle, it'd be gigantic, like, for whatever reason there, it's barely kicking in anything. I mean, look, that's opposite lock and reversing, and it's only left like a little thin leaf shape on the, like, you know, that should be a much wider arc to, like, when you drove up and then full locked in the opposite direction and then reversed. But basically, to turn around, you'd have to do like a 30-point turn if you had this trailer as well, especially. To be fair, I was able to pull the trailer in high along there, which, I don't know, 10-15 trucks have probably been able to out of, yeah, 50 odd now, so it's a good start. To be fair though, it is in the advanced special gearbox, so that's not as hard to maintain high as the high range gearbox is. Going through the water, no real issues to be fair. I don't really feel like I'm going much slower than I was. It did look a bit like I was there actually. Only a bit, nothing crazy though. Don't feel like I'd get stuck in water or anything like that. Not unless there's like a load of rocks obviously, or boggy mud underneath, but that's not really the water that's the issue at that point. Same width and everything really, look like maybe a tad wider, but either way you can squeeze through there. It's not like the P16 where it just physically ain't going to happen. And yeah, you just see what I mean, just how slow it's going. It's like, it's just life, but slower. So imagine if a girl said, do you want a blowjob but slow? It's like, I don't know. I mean, you start trying to, you know, rationalise and convince yourself, like, well, it is part of the blowjob family, so what could possibly go wrong? But then, you know, 4 hours later when she says, is that nice, in slow motion, she's like, is that nice? You're like, Jesus Christ, scared the shit out of me. Forgot you're even there. Watching some old reruns of Michael Schumacher on the Formula 1. Popping in some quick laps. Oh no, it's a slow job, popping in some quick championships. See? It's just not... It was part of the blowjob family, but it's just not the same. Start getting bored. You're like, you want to see my knob do an impression of Michael Schumacher? When she says yes, you Schumacher around the face with it. Say, look, he even came first. His impressions are impeccable. In fact, if the Actors Guild aren't writing me a letter of congratulations as we speak, it's going to kick off. And if for some reason she doesn't find that hilarious, looks like you're getting on her last veal nerve, but then yeah, I'll say, alright, fair enough. I'll show you, my knob will do an impression now of Michael Schumacher in a coma, and then it just sits there lifeless and dribbling. See? It's even got a helmet on. He's a goddamn genius. But yeah, that is a long-winded way of telling you that this thing is like a blowjob but slower, and I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. I did a bit of interior view there. I apologise, a bit slow on it. Got there a little bit late, but we made it. It got, like, rubbed its chin there, but it didn't really... The Phoenix, to be fair, did just about the same, kind of smashed in, but it didn't really dig in and stop dead. It just kind of bounced its way off and carried on, so that's not too bad. The chin ain't that bad on this. It's not like, certainly not Bruce. Bruce is still king of the chins. And to be fair, going over there, because it feels quite slow in the first place, when I get to mud, it's sort of just... in some ways, it reminds me a little bit, like I said, like John or like the Tatrin, where the Tatrin's certainly not a bad... It's a fucking beast of a vehicle, but it's just so slow all the time that there is no fast mode. It's just go slow everywhere, and that's nice until I want to go fast somewhere, and then I don't take the Tatra out. Get the goddamn loaf. Loaf and a Dolphin. Rapid. The loaf is genuinely rapid. More rapid than even I thought when I was doing those rally videos. I was quite surprised how the loaf was consistently putting in times that were like 5 or 10 seconds slower than the fastest stuff in the game, like the Tiger, the Dolphin, all that sort of stuff. Loaf was going for the old tortoise and hare strategy. He's a little bit slower, but he's goddamn consistent. Never lost that back end and started making me crash and have to reverse out of snowbanks and all sorts. So by the time you get all the trucks at the other end, he was there. Yeah, this snow section, it did alright. Not like it's not bad in snow. Even there, really, I could have gone down into low range with the diffs on. I just didn't bother. It wasn't, you know, struggling to the point where I'd need to. Just if I was driving around in my own time, I would have left it in auto there as well, and it got over just fine. So, like I say, I'm not saying this, by the way, that it's a bad truck. I just, A, I prefer the Phoenix, and B, I do think this has a few little issues. I don't think they give you anywhere near as many revs as they should. Like, well, while I'm talking about it now, there's a bit later on where I look at my speedo, but the rev counter thing. I'm flat out doing 700 revs. The thing idles at bloody 500, and it's supposed to rev up to 2,100, and yet I'm on 700. So yeah, that's 200 revs above idling, and that's kind of what it feels like. It's like, where's the rest of my power? I've got a monster engine and all the rest of it. I was surprised there. It actually got stuck in that death mud section. I really didn't think it would, because it's got the bigger tyres and all the rest of it. I thought it'd be alright, but it wasn't happy about it. And I've got the chained on at the minute, by the way, so it's not the custom muds, but it's not either muds. This is the snowy map. I'm driving around roads, I'll put chained on, so maybe, yeah, fair enough. The custom muds might do a little bit better in there, but if I'm honest, I don't really think they would, because I think the issue is more that it's now scraping its chin and the underside of its chassis, that transfer case, etc. in the mud. So I don't honestly feel like it would do any better, even if I don't think it's the tyres necessarily at that point. I mean, to be fair, it is the death mud section. There's still a good chunk of things that don't make it through there, but I honestly, if you'd asked me before I drove through there, would this make it, I would have said, yeah, slow as hell, but I should be able to put it in like medium low or whatever and just slowly creep through there, but it was having none of it. Bit of a nose test here. I didn't go too deep on the nose test because I already knew, like, it's, yeah. But it did it. I mean, at least if you don't push your luck too much, it scraped its nose rather than it just catching and completely being like, yeah, you ain't got a chance. So at least that's pretty good. And you see, climbing up that little ledge there, because it has got weight in its head, it likes to kind of, once you start climbing over stuff, it wants to seesaw and land its front back down, which is good in a way. It's probably better than it being rear weighted, but there is advantages to, just being balanced as well. Yeah, rolled down there. I maybe got a bit unlucky. I'll be honest, the Phoenix feels a lot more better at staying on its wheels. Not to say this is terrible at all. It's actually pretty decent at not rolling. It's just, again, I think the Phoenix has the edge. Of course, I had to send in the goddamn loaf. Get the job done. See, he's like 3 seconds and he's done. He's a goddamn professional for a reason. Yeah, I edited driving down and round because honestly it drove round fine, but I had to do like a 5-point turn just to go around the little corner. Climbing up here, pretty much in line. I mean, this is almost where you are reaching the limits of game mechanics, like with grip and all the rest of it. Yeah, had to kind of scoot over to the left. Didn't really, skidding a little bit to the left, but it's not like it's about to tip any second or anything. So, like I said, overall very well planted. Now, I was trying to drive along this little peak here, but you'll see, I didn't mean to do this, but ended up that happening. Road, I thought, oh, I might save it there. You see, the fact that it didn't stop there, though, it's not really trying to stay on its tyres, but it's not, yeah, you can sort of see it's, could go either way. And again, sending the loaf, and it's not an issue. You see, at the minute, Loaf's going to go for a rescue. Loaf's already doing like a wheelie up a hill. in snow. And he's still going to flip it, because he's a goddamn beast. Get yourself a loaf. Like, definitely one thing I've discovered doing this review. And to be honest, I kept driving, yeah. In the end, I rolled down another hill, got stuck on this tree so badly, I couldn't even be bothered bringing the loaf. That was the point where I was like, all I wanted to do was drive up the mountain again, but I already had the footage after I came out the trees, doing the wall test and all the rest of it, so I look at it, I was like, oh my god, it's already been driving me mad at this point. Not mad, but it's like, yeah, like I said, just everything is so slow. Like, this video is longer than the Phoenix video, despite the fact that it's been way more heavily edited, and I've not been able to include as many things. Like, funnily enough, when I was editing the Phoenix video, it's like, bloody hell, I'm not even on 50 minutes, and I've left all kinds of crap in that, I leave lots of bits in that I'll probably go back over and delete bits if it's just like, oh, the video's too long. They're like the first bits that'll get sacrificed. Yeah, with the Phoenix video, those bits where it's like, ah, sod it, I'll leave it in then. Whereas this, yeah, I've had to kind of go through and sacrifice a load of little bits that otherwise it'll be, yeah, I can only do an hour-long video anyway, so I've only got like, 8 minutes and 40 seconds worth left. But I'd like to, roughly. The review videos, to be fair, I'd like to get around 40-45 minutes. They tend to these days, because since we've had new updates and that, I do little bits on like flooded foothills and so on, so I've had to extend it a little bit. So yeah, it gets nearer 45-50 minutes now, but I don't really like going over 50 if I can help it. Driving through that mud back there wasn't an issue. Towing a goddamn horse behind me and it was fine. Like, this thing wasn't struggling as in, like, it felt like it'd get stuck any second or anything. But you hear now how excited the engine sounds, and it's just like, where is my speed game? I keep hearing gears change and things happening, but I don't feel like I'm ever going any faster than I was a second after I squeezed the throttle. Like, yeah, I just feel always like just a bit more. A big thing I would say for this, I think that would help it a lot, is diffs always on, because with diffs not always on, that's one thing this thing feels like maybe it's bleeding some of its power. It's just, you know, there's 8 wheels scrambling around and loads of them are bleeding power to, like, because the diffs aren't on and all that. If they just had the diffs on and it locked them all, but you could still travel at auto speed, you don't have to go into the low range, that would help, I think, quite a bit. And I'll be honest, I'm surprised a vehicle like this isn't diffs always on. It's pretty odd that they've added 2 trucks that are very good. I actually think they're among the best vehicles we've had that accompanied a phase, other than, like, say, the Zik 605R is undoubtedly, that was an extremely good truck for phase 4. But yeah, to have both trucks with, like, not even one has diffs always on. And then when the game first came out, we had the Dolphin, Tatra, Vorons, all stuff like that, that's beast mode with diffs on and everything. Getting a bit annoyed in the end, it was understeering a lot, so I took a crap line. I sort of purposely reversed it down the hill, had a feeling it'd roll, but when you got a loaf on standby, you don't worry about these things. You just send them in. Send them in to get the job done. And I mean, to be fair, the things like beyond 90 degrees, blah blah blah, tipped it to this point. Now it's just locking against the trailer. It can't physically, like, shove the trailer into the floor. So yeah, just press square at the minute, fire the engine up, just so it can physically sit back down. Job's a good one. Yeah, I ended up, like I said, doing a couple of tests with the see, rolled again. And yeah, this thing was eating, like, already that every area I go to test, just little things, but like to get to the quarry from Zimnegor's takes, say, 8 minutes in this. It might only be 3 or 4 minutes in the Phoenix, and it's that little, like, when you've now done 20, 30, 40 tests or whatever, it's like all those little 4 minutes add up to, you just look and it's like, Jesus Christ, I'm only here, and it's like, it's hours and hours and hours. Well, what's the time at the minute? Yeah, it's already gone 12 o'clock. I've been doing this thing for about the last 12 hours. So, a little bit of messing around and stuff, obviously. Something to eat and all the rest of it, but yeah. I left this bit in because, I mean, I had to rescue it again. Look, see how it's sitting there? Like, See what I mean? With the front is weighted weird, like the back should obviously be resting down on the floor. So I just think there might be a couple of rough edges with this truck that they need to sort out. If they do anything to the point where it feels like it's changed, I would do another review on it. If they just do something little and it's not really going to do a lot, there's no point. But yeah, if they do something to the point it changes the feel of the truck, then I don't mind redoing the review. But that's just what I sort of came to the conclusion. There's a few little iffy things, and yeah, overall I think I'll stick to the Phoenix or the Dolphin, for example. Like, at the minute as it stands, I'll happily drive the Phoenix over the Dolphin. Still probably prefer the Dolphin just, but as it's something new and all the rest of it, yeah, if it was the choice between this and the Dolphin, I'll take the Dolphin because I just know that's good. This thing feels like it'll just annoy me and stress me out a little bit along the way. Well, yeah, so it'll give me that, like, impatient feeling where I want things to be progressing a little bit quicker than they are. I was going to use the loaf to pull it up there, but then all I wanted to try was swerving over to the left, just because I did this in yesterday's Phoenix video, and I just wanted to see if it actually... That's why I kind of abandoned the mission halfway through, and it sort of did work. Got the trailer over that little bit of, like, the lip of the first hill, but then obviously it makes your approach here on a crap angle to where neither of them have really got the guts to then pull the trailer up this sharp of an angle. At the minute I can't see. Just to let you know as well, I did try both sets of tyres down here. I think at the minute I can't see if I've got the customs on all the normal muds that we have on others. Yeah, apologise in advance because I believe I lost the well, not lost it, sorry, I didn't save the footage of me climbing up this quarry hill in the, not these ones, but the third quarry hill in custom muds. This was in another attempt. Oh, so the first run probably was in the custom muds, this might be now with the normal ones, or vice versa. I was trying a different thing where I could unpack the cargo, because then it makes it way less. And last time it wasn't given the option to unpack and pack, but this time it was, so I tried that way of getting up there. Yeah, sorry, I believe it's now. I'm in the normal muds, not the custom muds. I'd just done it in the custom muds, and I got up there, and all I'll say, you'll see now, I edit little bits out. The custom muds did a little bit better. I don't think they're different league better, but I do think they've got an extra 5 or 10% edge to them, so yeah, I'd absolutely recommend the custom muds if you're going to put muds on. But essentially, it was just a slightly sped up version of the same thing. I got here, the custom muds stopped and were wheel spinning, and then I kept turning left and right, and eventually you just find these little patches where the truck had lurched, like, you know, another, I don't know, wheel length up, and then it'd wheel spin again a bit, and you got to kind of wiggle around and try and find it. In the end, I flung a winch out to this loaf. So like I said, yeah, no disputes from me. Like, I think the custom mud's better. I just, at this point, didn't realise I forgot to save the footage of the custom muds, so I was going to show you both lots of footage. And I'll be honest, yeah, by now, like I said, it's already nearly 1 o'clock and stuff coming up. To go back and get all that footage again, just, it ain't worth it. I apologise, but yeah, I spent too much time messing around on this video. Wasted my time on some other things we'll get to shortly. I have no regrets, say that much. But yeah, slowly, I mean, it did eventually crawl its way up here. And I do think, to be fair, if I sat there wiggling around long enough, I think I could get up there without flinging a winch to the loaf, but I was just, I don't know, part of it is just, like, I can't help it. That's my natural reaction is to hit the winch button and try and fling a winch out. Which is sort of why I say, as far as when they balance stuff, it's like, if they're going to balance it to the point where you definitely need to fling your winch out, what was the point? Because then I'm just playing winch runner all the time. But yeah, after it's just, I can't help it. Hit that winch button. Almost didn't make that corner. Funnily enough, actually, I believe it lost the cargo when I was up here with the custom muds. Yeah, it did, in fact. And I remember at the time thinking, oh, for Christ's sake, but I was like, sod it, I'll go and I'll come back with, like, yeah, the normal muds and whatever. See, going down that hill, the reason that cargo tipped there is because it was too slow. If the truck was faster, that trailer wouldn't have had time to tip then, because it'd just be too busy being pulled straight by the speed my truck's flying down that hill. So that's something little I've noticed from, like, trucks in high range don't tip the trailer like that there. They lose the cargo when they leap off that little cliff edge. And yeah, slow stuff tips the trailer sideways near the top. This is the ice test. You see again though, as soon as I hit that ice, how it just loses all momentum and effort and power. You can still hear the engine making a big old song and dance, but it's not translating into like torque and all that all the time. Like sometimes it's there and it's got plenty of it, but I don't know, it's hard to explain because it's not like that all the time, and it's not a bad truck. Like you could definitely get some missions. See there again, it's just instantly like, oh what, ice, and then it stops, and it's like I'm stuck now because the thing just has no oomph to it. But yeah, it's got enough power to get out. I mean there, just because the ice didn't break, no problem. But and I was quite surprised it did do that there. See, here's where, look, you look at like the slightly smaller dial is the rev counter. What's it, at 750 maybe? Call it 800, sorry, I don't care. It revs up to 2,100, so I'm in 5th gear out of 5th. Like, they've gone too extreme on it. It should be revving up to at least, say, 1,500 now. Fair enough if you're capping it from, like, top end wise, but that's just not enough. I don't even know if the game works that way, but I kind of feel like it does, to be honest. Like, you think when you put it in high gear, you get more revs. So I believe the higher you're allowed to go up the rev counter, the better it is. But there's some vehicles in this game where they're just way too over-restrictive with it. On the opposite end, that's one reason I like the Voronggrad so much, was for whatever reason, rev caps and all that are like non-existent near enough on that truck. It's like they forgot to do it, or the coding doesn't compute and it just ignores it. But that's one reason why I like that truck so much, because it's, yeah, it doesn't get affected by it. Over in flooded Foothills though, cutting across here, pretty good to be honest. Didn't doubt that it would be. The issue mainly as you cut across this river is there's a load of rocks underneath. So if anything, I would have thought the Phoenix would struggle more cutting across there because it's got the 4-inch smaller tyres. But probably ballpark about the same, to be fair. But then you see now, as I'm gonna, like, I only came back here because I did it yesterday in the Phoenix video, and I was curious myself. Wasn't necessarily going to put this in the video, but as I drive up here now, I mean, look, I'm already practically stopped. Got zero cargo weight, not even got a roof rack, not towing a loaf. And I almost stopped then, which the Phoenix motored up here. Now I'm stuck on the rocks, and there's just, I've had to go low range diffs on to have my diffs, but now in the low ranges there's even less revs being given to me. And I kind of feel like, you know, I'm, yeah, barely above tick over. And there is actually a hell of a lot more that this truck could give. It's just, I kind of feel like, whether it's on purpose or not, I don't know, but like the devs have just, yeah, completely over-nerfed this truck or over-restricted it. Something's not, doesn't float my boat about it, I know that much. And especially, like, it's hard to tell driving around in the Phase 5 maps, because it's like, I've obviously never been on them before, so I don't know if the truck is doing amazing or not. And again, like I said, it's not a bad truck, I'm not saying that, it's just, it's a good truck that there's just some odd, weird things I don't like about it that stop it being a great truck. Yeah, now I've drove around, obviously, all that, like, I've literally, this is probably the 50th truck review and all that I've done, so I've very specifically done all these little bits and bobs for 50 vehicles, and yeah, this is definitely one of them that I can just tell something don't feel great about it. And that Phoenix, I mean, people I've seen in the comments saying that they'll probably end up nerfing the high range gear on the Phoenix. I fully get what they're saying, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I hope they don't, because that truck's actually pretty fun, and I quite like how relaxed it is in high gear. Again, if I want something slower than that, I'll drive this then, so I really hope they don't mess with the Phoenix. But yeah, knowing them, that's exactly the sort of thing they'd do. Like, still not added a decent engine for the Derry a year and a half later, but they'll fix some random odd thing that no one even was complaining about to begin with. But yeah, I mean, even as I'm driving along here, like, you know, I'm in high gear at the minute, but I'm pinning it flat out, and it's just, yeah. I mean, by comparison, again, the Phoenix flew through here. The back end did a drift as I went round that little bit, really, because it was just motoring along, and even with the drift, it didn't tip or anything, it just ploughed its way through and carried on. So, like, for example, people who will like this, for those of you that drive John, what's it bloody called? The A's of 64, I remember 64 because Nintendo 64. Is it 131 or 6, whatever, John. That's why I call him John, because of these stupid phone numbers I got to remember for different trucks. Yeah, the people who like driving John, who's a great truck but slow, if that doesn't bother you, this won't bother you, but as you probably all full well know, I don't drive John much. I drive the Dolphin. Yeah, speed-wise, cut most of it out because goddamn the thing is taking its sweet-ass time, but jumped off the cliff. Thought we were going to get back on our wheels. Oh no. You know what that means. It is time. Absolute goddamn horse of a vehicle, quite frankly. Get yourself a loaf. Save the day. When doesn't he save the day? But yeah. Still got his 100% rest. I mean, look, we're going for it again. This was just me and loaf time now. This wasn't even. This was not for public viewing, not for public consumption. But he is a goddamn beast. So, going for the old drowning test. This truck, I do think, sits like lower, basically, than a lot of vehicles. I'm pretty certain the Phoenix is quite a bit taller than it, considering that the Phoenix is the one with the smaller tyres. Yeah, it is what it is. It's not really an issue, to be honest, for the most part. Trucks that sit quite low and wide are probably better because they're less likely to roll. But when it comes to driving in water, obviously a tall vehicle like the P16 can go a lot deeper. That's what she said. Yeah, but the snorkel is the best place it could be. It's at the back of the cab to where, like, I can practically drown the entire truck. Apart from, say, the little exhaust bit sticking out, and yeah, that's it. So it's as good as it's going to get. It's about as good as the truck could be. I think I was going to say as truck as the good could be. God knows. Yeah, just reversed out. Got the goddamn horse to fix me up a bit, get that engine sorted, and then just going to drive in flat out, see how deep it can go before it taps out. Not even going to say it. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm going to say it. The Phoenix went deeper, that is what she said. Yeah, it's taller, blah, blah, blah. I think I got further past that trailer. I think that trailer's the first thing I ever jumped off the cliff. It's still there. I mean, who else are you going to call? Not Ghostbusters, is it? So, you're sending a loaf for a situation like this. He likes a bit of a swim. I mean, was it ever in doubt, really? And at this point, I was literally sat back, sipping my coffee, just have to squeeze the throttle, don't even have to look at the TV, don't have to steer. Just leave life to it, it'll get the job done. That's not bad. I mean, the vehicle's obviously, you know, not helping, it's stalled, it's underwater and all the rest of it, so it's doing pretty well to drag him out of there. Not that I expect any less from a goddamn horse. I just wanted to see as well now, fire the engine up, like you can see once the truck starts helping. Now I'm not trying to drive forward, I keep feathering the throttle. Yeah, spin round, fix him up, job's a good one. Goddamn horse. So yeah, overall, I mean, it drives fine through water and everything. I wouldn't say it's like a bad thing. Jumping up here, was this another time? Smack, like the front, for example, the Dolphin doesn't really take damage when you hit the front. That took a good bit of a whack while I kind of buried the driver's seat in the floors. I'll have a look. Any DLC they're hiding in there? Any Hummers that I forgot? Just all floating around in the cliffs. And then it starts rolling. You can see now it makes it back to its wheels and it doesn't carry on. So it's, yeah, like, again, the weight characteristics. Oh, shit, if I ever appeared like that on YouTube, I'd be finished. Tipping it now, there's like, it was weird with, you know, like sometimes when you get stuck on the horizontal, like where or the vertical where you're up in the air and it won't let you fall to the horizontal plane. I've sort of mentioned it in the past. It was kind of doing that. James Bond loaf escapes like a goddamn beast. Went for it, like, I'm gonna edit most of this out. Went for do a submarine thing, did a fat lap of the entire ocean and ended up back where I started. So then the next time I went in aiming to the left, assuming it would auto steer and correct me, and then it went straight, and yeah, it was a whole load of messing around. And then I got to about here, somewhere around here, and I was talking to my cat as well, because he just turned up. He's obsessed with playing games and that at the minute, so he's loving it. He's trying to harass me every 2 minutes. And yeah, I just completely drove forward, rolled it, and then when I made something to eat, like, just in the end, I edit it. edit it all out, the rescue and all the rest of it ain't even worth the payoff of the amount of footage. Driving up here as well. What's it? Yeah, on the mountain, Snowy Mountain again. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's not going to get up here. It's just, can you see what I mean with the loudness and everything in the engine? Like, is that going to translate into some oomph anytime soon? No. I mean, it likes spending a lot of its life in first gear, which is, yeah, like, you are aware, truck, that I do have 4 more to choose from. Maybe if you let me have the top 2/3 of my revs, might encourage you a little bit more to use them. It's pretty much, you're going to spend your life in first, and as soon as you're allowed in second, you're allowed in third, fourth and fifth. Like, yeah, there isn't anywhere where you really get up to second or third. It's sort of all or nothing. Got up here though again, I mean, even the beaching issue, for a second now when I drive forward, it was like, oh, it might be stuck, but there's enough weight on its cabin and everything that, yeah, it was still, that second axle was digging in enough that it kept going. Almost tipped there, bloody close, but got away with it just. However, again, yesterday the Phoenix knocked this tree down, or sorry, not yesterday, actually, it was probably all like the day before, whatever, but look at it, it's such a crap little, even the tree sort of leans over, like, really? Was that it? That was terrible. Yeah, in conclusion, that's it. I mean, again, I don't hate it. It's a decent truck. It just does everything at this awkwardly slow pace that feels like, with the engine noise and all the rest of it going on, it just doesn't match what it should be to a degree, and I just think the Phoenix is better, to be honest, but I'd certainly recommend getting it. The fact that this is twice the money as well is odd, that this is the one that feels like it's took a bit of a cliche SnowRunner dev punishment that they tend to do on some vehicles for no apparent reason. Yeah, that's the conclusion I've come to. I'll certainly still say it's worth unlocking, because even if you don't use it, sell it, it's over 200 grand. What is it like? I think it was 267 grand when I had that, I don't know, like towing recovery thing stuck on the back of it. So it's pretty bloody expensive. One of, if not the most expensive truck in the game, fully upgraded. The only competition's probably going to be the Zix. Yeah, it's dearer than the Derry. That's about 200 grand fully upgraded. Little description there saying it's military, all the rest of it. It's great. Tell the military to put a fucking proper engine in it. Why is it with military stuff? Like, the Derry is military, and that thing's a piece of crap and all. I don't know why they keep doing it. So yeah, hopefully if they fix that, then that, you know, that'll be solved. Until then, I'm just, yeah, the Phoenix is my favourite. This thing's capable, but it doesn't feel as fun or anything. It's just, yeah, not doing it for me, not floating my boat. Anyway, that's about it for today, though. I'll leave it there. I hope you enjoyed, though. Hope that helps. Thanks for watching. Thanks for Patreon members. Get yourself a life, because he's goddamn professional. I think he proved himself again, as usual. And, yeah, I'll be back soon.